Hi, welcome to the weekly brunch with the Loon. I am the Loon, and this is the only live that I will be doing until I start getting some more subscribers and participants during live. But the weekly brunch I feel should be live. So, welcome to the weekly brunch with the Loon. And before I continue with the topic at hand, let's go ahead and uh, I like to remind you, if you like this video or any of my videos on any of my channels, go ahead and click the like to know when I go live again, or when I post any new videos. Hit subscribe and you'll be notified via YouTube and Twitter. I'm not sure about Facebook because I am broadcasting on Facebook as well on my author page, author Judith Swanson. And if you think any of this helps people, please feel free to share. Now, let's get into the topic at hand. The topic at hand that we're going to talk about today is recreational goals. This is part 3 of the goal series that I'm doing. The first one was spiritual goals. The second one was professional goals, which was last week. And this week, we are going to look at recreational goals. When was the last time you took what we would call a vacation? Okay. Just going about and visiting a place, any place that you desired, whether it meant going on a flight or doing something to do as simple as going to a local museum or something. We cannot be all work, no play. That is not the way we were designed to be. We were designed to relax, and not just relax in the form of our weekends. The weekends could be a bit too short. That is always the saying on Monday mornings. When you go back into work, you hear, it was too short, it wasn't good enough, this and this and that. So let's take a look and see how can we do this. First of all, when was the last time you took a vacation? I know for me, it's been a while. Now, I'm not talking about the staycations. Well, staycations could be good, and we're going to touch on that a little bit later. But let's talk about the ones that re-energize you to the point where you can the ones that you can just take, maybe a day trip. What do you I live here in New York, and this is where I would probably take a daycation, check out the sights, or you could even go as far as taking a flight to go somewhere like the Grand Canyon. Check out your country's delights. But before we get into the final destination, let's talk about what we can do to actually be more relaxed, more re-energized after a trip like this. It has to be something that you would desire. What could that be? Well, most people think about places like hotels that you could go visit, and everything that you would normally take care of at home is taken care of. So let's make a list. You don't have to do this now, but you could do it eventually. Let's make a list of places you would like to visit, things you would like to do, because it doesn't have to be a place to visit per se. It could be a place that you always wanted to see. Here in New York, The average New Yorker who lives in the five boroughs or even in Long Island and upstate Westchester, there are a lot of sites you don't get to see. I discovered this by talking to different foreigners. I work somewhere where you see a lot of tourists when you go out for a smoke, or you go out for lunch, or you just go for a simple walk. Um, there are different parks you could see. There are many people who live in New York and they never go to see Central Park. Now, I have to forego by saying that that's actually normal because growing up here in New York, Central Park wasn't such a safe place. It's a safer place than when I was growing up. And there's so much to see that I was surprised. First of all, you have to think about every place in New York, every movie that's based in New York always have a scene in Central Park. But there are hidden gems in Central Park, and I'll probably do a different video of that, which will require me to actually leave my abode and outside of going to work and actually go and get some footage. And I will. But I'm going to tell you a few gems here in New York. Now, you may not be viewing me from New York. You may not be from New York. You may be viewing me somewhere else. So, as I'm telling these stories, please take the time to think about places near you that may fall into this category. Now, Central Park is a huge park in Manhattan, but we have other parks in New York. But we're going to go Central Park because Central Park is a popular one. Central Park has one thing it has that I found out a few years ago, almost a little shy of a decade, that they have a nice little orchestra area where during the summer they have different chamber music that is played if you like classical music, which if you haven't given it a try, I urge you to give it a try because that opens different things that could help you with your recreational goals, like Lincoln Center and other places like that, Carnegie Hall. They do have performances that you could check out. Then we're going to go to my favorite, which I try to do every couple of months, is check out performances, plays, musicals. Central Park, also Battery Park, if you are familiar with New York, also give things like up by Harlem, you have Shakespeare in the Park, which this year, unfortunately, I did not take advantage of due to life situations. And that's another thing you have to keep in mind. Life situations will happen. That's why you have to plan and have recreational goals. Goals help you plan, and they tend to help you be a little bit more flexible when you want to go see these types of performances. Then you could always check out Broadway. Broadway is another thing. Discount. It's funny. My last performance that I went to see was actually recently, last week. Went to see Moulin Rouge. Spoiler alert, Wayne Brady is in there. So if you happen to be a fan of Wayne Brady, I suggest you go check it out. It's pretty awesome. So you have Wayne Brady hosting that, and I went to see there. And while I was sitting, because of my ailment, I can't stand too long sometimes. But it was at the end of the day. It was during the week, which is where you could get the discount tickets. And that's another video I'll probably do on how to get discount tickets on reaching your recreational goals. I met a lot of foreigners. It actually was almost a little disheartening because I met a lot more foreigners than I did New Yorkers. But these are advantages that people take in your area that you don't take, and they travel. You don't have to travel. 9 times out of 10, you're only a bus and a train ride away from enjoying a good Broadway show. Times Square is not the Times Square I grew up with. And trust me, I plan on taking full advantage of that in this age of mine. So this is where you start your recreational goals. I grew up in New York City, as I mentioned earlier, and Here in New York City, what they used to do, and I'm not sure if they do it. Unfortunately, I don't have children. I don't know if they still do it. But what they used to do is have school trips to see Broadway shows, to go to the local museums, to enjoy what my area, my area, which happens to be New York City, had to offer as cultural and de stressing things. Now, if you are someone who don't like crowds, unfortunately, a lot of sites have crowds. But if you go during the week, after work, or during the day, if you happen to have a day off in the middle of the day, you could use this as a recreational goal. I have a recreational goal to revisit the Statue of Liberty. What do I mean revisit? When I was young, I went to the Statue of Liberty. Back then, now it's no longer they allow this, but back then you could climb up the stairs and go to the top. I have a fear of heights, so I'm around 10 years old. It was not optional for me, but being there meant a lot. Older me want to go revisit that. So I'm going to choose probably a weekend day or probably take a vacation day and go and visit on a nice sunny day. So right now, this is October. It's not going to happen. I don't like the cold. The temperature is unpredictable. So we're not going to do that. But now I have a recreational goal. I say this to help you decide what you want to go see, where you may want to go. Now, there are bigger goals which require some time. And it's like, for example, I said the Statue of Liberty is something I would probably hit a goal for next year. If I wanted to start my recreational goal now, I would probably think about going to a museum or one of the many museums or aquariums. We have one aquarium here in New York that I would go visit. Um, Another recreational goal, believe it or not, is if you like sporting events, planning for your sporting events. This is the time. Um, in most times, this is considered the dark time of the year. These things will push away the depression that usually hits during this time of year. So it's good to consider, even though I know the holiday season is coming, Halloween is right around the corner, Thanksgiving is right after that, and then you have Christmas right after that. So there is a lot of spending. So look at the pricing and how much it will cost. This method of thinking will help you when you start thinking bigger when it comes to your recreational goals. Now let's go back to Central Park. I did not forget that. I just went in a little squirrel moment and wanted to share that with you. Also in Central Park, since the cold season is coming, you may want to keep a lookout if you're in the northern cold regions for public ice skating rinks. Now, ice skating rings is pretty awesome. Now, I know what's coming up is there's a fall festival. Now, I got into festivals when I was stationed in Germany. And around this time, I would get all giddy because we have the Oktoberfest coming. If you like beer, if you like genuine German food, this is the time you want to check and see what's going on in your area. The Oktoberfest is a big festival in Germany, which is really, really interesting, just to say the least. If you've never experienced it and once things die down in the world, you may want to plan on that visit. They also have festivals now during the Oktoberfest. It's like throughout the year, starting in April in Germany. I have to go back to that. They have different festivals. And Oktoberfest is where I consider, and in my view, where all the fests get together. They have it for every town. If you're in Long Island, you're familiar with this because around May they have the same type of festival. I want to say Rockville Center, but I think it's Lynbrook, where they have the festival is near the train station and they have different rides. So imagine this going from town to town, different companies, different rides, every festival, every month, starting in April. And at in October, all these different rides mesh into one. And you have the funnel cakes there, you have the traditional rotisserie chicken, and of course, you cannot have Oktoberfest without the beer. So you have that going on. Now, during this time of year, after Oktoberfest, is what they call the Kris Kringle Mark, which is what I consider what I'm about to bring up being. Now, the Kris Kringle Mark is outside. It's cold, but you have the authentic different desserts and different meals that makes it feel hearty. You could get the queso spezza there. You could get the rotisserie chicken as usual, the beer, but you get something very unique, which I tend to love, which is dumfodil. And I specifically got a German cookbook to learn how to do this, and I recently got my Dutch oven. So hopefully later on in this season, I will share how I was able to successfully. Now, if you don't see a video, I wasn't successful in this. Successfully make dumfodil. Back to New York. So now we have around this time we're going to have it. What is it called? It's not Battery Park. It's in Midtown, and I do apologize. The name escapes me, but it's in Midtown near Fifth Avenue. Not Battery Park. It has a library there, famous library there, and they, to me, they have a festival around this time of year that has different things. They have the cheese wheel, which I love, different vendors, different foods, and in the middle they have the ice skating rink, which is not Bryan Park. That's the park I was thinking of, Bryan Park. And they have these festivals where you could go through. I call it the Forget All the Diets You're On festival. And if you're trying to lose weight, you want to stay away because they have all types of wonderful food here. If you want to taste what food is like in New York City without going to the restaurant, this is where you want to go. But this is part of the recreational goals. If my goal is to go there, which it is always my goal to go there, I save up, which is go to your budgeting. At this point, if you're following Vista Within, you've already tried to budget and you're planning ahead of time. So this is what you want to do. This is how you want to do it. And this is going to help you for bigger goals. There's also an ice skating ring in Central Park by Columbus Circle. I've never gone there. I've gone to the one in Bryan Park, and it's usually crowded, so you have to do a time for that. And there's plenty of things to do. I mean, it seems exhausting, but recreational is something that you like to do. And believe it or not, it helps you get re-energized to handle the rest of the year, the rest of the week, or just be able to get up the next day and go to work. Another thing you want to start looking at is, are there any places in your country that you always wanted to visit that's not in your town? Well, plan ahead. Um, you could plan ahead to go to the Grand Canyon. This is where you do the research. How much does it cost to take a flight from where you are to go there? Now, the Grand Canyon is just an example. Most people want to go to Yellowstone. Some people just want to go to Miami. Some people just want to hit the Appalachian trails, treasures that are hidden treasures, but known treasures, but people don't think about doing. You plan appropriately. And I always say, outside of the local things, I say, try to plan about a month out or two, maybe 3, even 6 months out. When it comes to leaving your area where you have to take a flight, train, or bus, try to plan it a year out. Now, things to consider when you're doing your recreational goals. Boarding. Do you have to have a hotel? Do you have a friend nearby or a buddy nearby that you could room with that don't mind you as a company. Now, don't take offense if you have somebody nearby and they don't. They don't have to accept you, but you don't know till you ask. So if that's a no go, then you budget for a hotel. I've met several of my old buddies who have come to New York because New York is a place people love to visit, no matter what condition we are. Um, and they'll let me know. And I do also always offer a place for them to stay so they don't have to do the hotel bill. But some people, their space is their sacred space, and we respect boundaries here, so respect their boundaries. So then now, if that doesn't work out, you have to budget hotel, airline flight, or traveling flight prices, and you want extra for when you go there. You may want to pick up souvenirs. You have to calculate your budget for food. Check out, do a Google search. Google is always your friend. And see some of the famous restaurants there, the famous foods there, the places you want to visit there. Some people like waffle houses, so sometimes they want to go visit waffle houses, something we don't have here in New York that I'm aware of in the New York City area. But it's something that most people, for us here in New York, that is a delicacy, quote unquote, because we don't have it here. We don't experience it. Denny's was my thing until we got a Denny's here. And Denny's actually did not make it here. I think it's no longer here. I can't get to it anyway. But, little things like that. The little things matter on making it comfort food. And then you plan and you budget that way. But the thing I want to really bring into perspective when it comes to this is you want to, can I say, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you find time to rejuvenate and experience life in the way that it should be. It's not all work, no play. We work every day. We hit towards our goals every day. But sometimes it comes a time where you just need to relax and have fun, sit by the pool. So there are several things I have to ask you, and several things you have to ask yourself when it comes to recreational goals. What is the goal you want to hit when trying to hit recreation? Do you want it to be an all relax? I want to lay around here and be a sloth and not do anything for how many days I'm taking these days. Or I want to go somewhere where I can take in the sights and relax. Keep in mind, for example, the Grand Canyon is I mentioned earlier. If you have fear of heights, you may want to reconsider this one. If you're not ready to go into nature, because some people are not all about nature, you may want to rethink this. So think about also what you may want to avoid, because we all have our fears. I know people, and I am one of them, who live in major cities that want to see iconic buildings, the World Trade Center, Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building. But I can't go up them because I have a fear of heights. So it is what it is. But there are always other things to do. There are some people that love shopping. Budget for that as well. You can hit those goals. Some people want to go to the Caribbean for a vacation. Check which ones are not on the blacklist and make sure that they're safe for tourists, American tourists especially. So you could go visit, but you have to do your due diligence. So I always say within your immediate area, when I mean immediate area, I mean your state, plan within 6 months. Make a plan within 6 months And this way you could clear it with work, make sure you have enough vacation, make sure you have enough funds to just go to those places. There are some places that we go upstate that, for example, there are people who are going upstate right now that they're hitting the Appalachian trails that hit the part of the Appalachian trails that hit New York City upstate. There are people who they like to go fishing. So fishing is their thing. So they're hitting St. George or they're hitting out in Montauk. Um, I hear Montauk is quiet this time of year. The celebrities aren't there. It's more of the townspeople there. And there is a lot to do there. There's a lot to experience there. There's a lot of shops to experience there, believe it or not. Um, and you don't have to deal with traffic so much because everybody who summers there are no longer there. So you don't have a high traffic rate. And from what I hear, although I was not fortunate enough the one time I did go fishing there, it's wonderful fishing. If you're looking to leave your state, whether it is within the country or to go abroad, always find out and plan it a year ahead. Some places, it'll take more than a week, a couple of days vacation because of the travel time. Always keep in mind the travel time. Keep in mind uh, jet lag. Right now, not so good. I don't know if it's a good time to go to Hawaii because it is monsoon season. Not so good to go to Japan right now, monsoon season. So travel might be a little abrupt and you may cause delays. But your recreational goals should be up there with your professional goals, your spiritual goals, and next week I will hit educational goals. You are important. And this is what Vista Within and these series and these weekly brunch talk about. Well, mostly. Sometimes we hit some things that are close to our hearts, and there are some topics, yeah, I'm not hitting. And until I get like a fan base where people are actually coming to talk and they bring it up, it's a little bit too close to home. This last 2.5 months, have been pretty fast moving and for some tragic, for some unknown, and we need a break. I understand that we tend to compare this time to when we were growing up. We tend to forget and we grind and we grind and we grind. But one thing that most people, even if you see the homesteaders, you check out the people who vlog, one thing they do is they do take vacation time. Now, it appears that they just jump up and they just take off and they go on vacation. That's not it. They already planned it. You're not privy to the details of those plans. So sit back and think about first, make a list. What would I like to do? Yes, you are making a bucket list. Recreational goals is your bucket list. And you don't have to wait for retirement to get there. You just have to make plans and make it your goal. Once you make it your goal, you will go ahead and enjoy vacation time, recreational time, little things. Now, things may come up that you may not be aware of, certain festivals, certain activities, certain events. And I don't know where you're located who is viewing this, but I know here in New York, there are certain things that we have like museums. Donations are optional, although they have a suggested price. 9 times out of 10, the suggested price is usually very, very minimal. And if you become a member of those museums, it becomes even less of an amount of money. Now, I do live in a place where we have an abundance of attractions. We have the Bronx Zoo here. We have the Botanical Gardens, which there's everything. There's something for everybody here, depending on what you like and what you don't like. You have concerts, you have Broadway, and there's probably something local for you. So on your 2-day weekend, if you have that, because not many people do that. If on your weekends, on your days off, if you have the strength, sometimes going for a nice walk along your garden, the botanical garden, or a farmer's mart, that could be your recreational goal. Recreation is not deemed by the whole masses. Recreational is what uh, energizes you and brings you back down to earth in a relaxing frame where you understand what matters most, which is your mental health, your well-being, and your relaxation. And once you have that in together, there is nothing that the work day, the work week, or even family emergencies can take away, which is your peace of mind, your centeredness, and your realization of the beauty of the world around you. I hope this comes in as helpful for you, and you can start even on this beautiful Sunday after you come from your whatever religious obligations you come from, that will help you see how valuable your experiences are, and if only to you, because you are valuable. I'm going to say farewell for now. I will see you next week. Keep an eye out for my new videos. Until then, enjoy your week.